we all went to the White House together. We challenged them right there in the White House green. Let's go right now. Let's line up. Let's see who wins. Anyhow, that's good. Hey, I'm honored to be here. Naval Academy, man, that's special. In fact, I got one of the perks, this whole thing was to get some Navy gear. I've been walking around with Navy gear all day, and people have been asking me, "Are you in the Navy? You're part of the school, blah, blah, blah." But I'm really not. You know, obviously, I'm just wearing the gear. And it reminds me, as a football coach for years, I saw people on our sideline who would have gear on that our team had, Nebraska gear on. And, you know, sometimes we look around and you go, "Man, who's that guy? I've never seen that guy before. They're doing on our sideline. They got the gear on." And we come to find out that they really weren't part of the team. They just had the gear on, you know, and they looked like, and they were able to kind of hop the fence. And when the security guards weren't looking, they kind of moved up, and they got great viewing of the game right on the sideline. And they weren't doctors, they weren't equipment managers, they weren't anybody. They were just fans with Nebraska gear on, and they looked official, you know. And yet, if they ever had to go play in the game, they couldn't do it. Not equipped to do it. If they ever had to go and pose as a medical person because a player was hurt, they wouldn't know what to do when they got there. If they had to go fix some equipment out on the field because they were posing as an equipment manager, they wouldn't be able to help anybody. They couldn't button up a chin strap. So really, they were just imposters. They wore the right gear, they said the right things, they could speak the language, but they really weren't a part of the team. And you know, I thought about that for years. How many times did I go to Christian events, church events, put on the gear, said all the right things, looked the right way? I wasn't on the team. I was useless. Is that you? Have you been dressing up good? You come to the FCA meetings, you're part of a good group of people, looks godly, looks religious, kind of paying your dues. If people looked at you, they would say, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You're one of those people that goes to FCA, you're one of the good folks." But who are you really? Without all the gear, when it all comes off, every night when you go back to your dorm, whenever it is that you get alone, maybe when you go somewhere for spring break and there's no other FCA Navy people around, you're kind of on your own. Who are you? Who are you really? Are you really part of the team? Are you really usable with God? That's a great question for all of us. A great question for me. I've known the Lord for 35 years, but I keep asking, who am I? Am I the real deal? You know, one of the things that I always did before a game, I took my punt returners out on the field before the game started. And the reason why is because in Nebraska, that wind blows all over the place on a Saturday afternoon. And it's got swirling winds. And you guys know that the wind at ground level isn't always the same 60, 70 feet in the air. So somehow you got to figure out what's happening up there. And of course, you can't see wind. You only see evidences of wind. You can't tell which way it's blowing all the time. How can you tell? Well, there were always pennants on top of the stadium, little flags on a flagpole. And of course, when the flag was blowing this way, you knew that's which way the wind was blowing. So you tell the punt returner, listen, when the ball's in the air and it's up there, that ball's going to move that way. You got to compensate. You got to move that way to zero in on the ball. If the pennant was blowing this way, flag's blowing this way, you better back up some. Blowing that way, you better move up. That way, you slide to the left. Pretty common sense. Everybody knows that. But there were also poles up there, flag poles, that did not have a flag on it. It was just a flagpole. And if you look just at the flagpole, you couldn't tell which way the wind was blowing. You had to look at the flag. And, you know, as I thought about that picture, that's really, again, a question that I have for you and for me. Who are you? Are you the flag or are you the flagpole? The flag blows in the direction that the wind blows. When the culture wind blows this way, that's where a lot of people go. all the political, all of the economic winds, all of the popular winds, the cultural winds are blowing that way. Is that where you just go? Because that's where everybody else is going. That's what everybody else approves of. Or if the wind is blowing that way, and it changes all the time. Just like the wind does in life, it changes, it's going this way, and the next minute it's going that way, so doesn't the culture. Same thing. So maybe in another year or two, the culture will blow that way, and the voting will go this way. What dictates who you are? Are you the flag that just blows with the wind, or are you the pole stuck in cement? Set. Another way of putting it, are you the thermometer, or are you the thermostat? If you're the thermostat, you're setting the temperature. If you're the thermometer, you're just taking the temperature. Who are you? Who am I? You know, Jesus once said about a guy named John the Baptist, his cousin. God had a role for John the Baptist. Weird dude. Strange dude when you read about him. Lived in the woods. Had animal skins on. Even in his time, he was strange. Eating nuts and berries and locusts and all that kind of stuff. Came out of the woods, man. Bold. Bold as a lion. Strong. A flag pole. Stuck in cement. Knew who he was. Man of high integrity. Jesus once said, when they spoke of John, who was in prison for speaking the truth, he said, well, what did you expect to see? A reed or a flag blowing in the wind? Just blows around? Jesus was trying to say, look at John the Baptist. In modern day language, he was saying, he's a flagpole. Flagpole represents integrity. Anybody know what integrity means? It has to do with a number. What is integrity?
Doing the right thing.
Doing the right, what's that?
Doing the right thing when no one's looking.
Doing the right thing when no one's looking. That's a great description of integrity. But does anybody know that word integer? What does it mean? Anybody know? It's a number. What's that number? Anybody know? I've taught my daughters this. I said, okay, think of the word. Spell it uppercase. First letter. Capital I, Dad. Yep. What's capital I look like in terms of a number? Easy, Dad. Roman numeral 1. That's what it means, 1. It doesn't mean 1 versus 2 or 1 versus 500. The word integrity means 1 as a whole number versus a fraction. Fraction is divisible. You can divide a fraction, but you can't divide 1 as a whole number. That's what it means. Integer means 1, whole, cannot be divided. You are who you are, in public and in private. That's a great description of that word. For a young man, that's pretty sharp. Because it means that you can't be divided. You are who you are in public, on spring break, here in this FCA room, when you're in class, when you're on the field, when you're with your boys or your girls, when you're on a date. You are the same person. The scripture says Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. That's the flagpole. That's the flagpole. No matter which way the wind is blowing. You know what John the Baptist did? You know what got him? You know what got him not only thrown into prison, but what got him killed? And you guys are used to killing. You guys are aware that today people are getting their heads sawed off. You guys understand that as well as anybody. You're looking at the world. You guys represent the military in this nation, the protectors, the stewardess of this country. You understand what's going on around the world. I don't have to tell you. You know. But you know what got John the Baptist killed? Here's this guy coming out of the woods saying, prepare ye the way of the Lord. Repent. Change your direction. Get ready for Jesus, man. My cousin, that's the boy, man. Me? You looking at me like I'm something special? Don't look at me, man. I couldn't shine in his shoes. You kidding me? He's the man. He's the one. He's God. Fully God, fully man. He's coming. Get ready. Everybody was cool with that. John had lots of people, and people were like, oh, okay. And John was like, yep, keep going. Then John had a great ministry going. Come out of the woods had a whole lot of followers. People were like, yeah, man, we have a lot of Christian heroes in this country. You know, we got a lot of people who have large followings. They have big churches. They're on radio shows. They have big followings, man. Some of us like all of that attention. Sometimes we get bought off by that. Now, John the Baptist. John the Baptist did something that a lot of Christians today would say, that's dumb. You know what he did? He went up to the king, Herod at the time, and he said, King Herod, by the way, just so you don't confuse God's people, you're with the wrong woman. That's not your wife. What are you doing? You might say, why don't you just shut up, man? Why don't you just do your ministry? You got a full-fledged ministry here. You're preparing the way of Jesus. Everybody's cool. Let's go. Why do you have to now risk it all by going to the king and calling him out on something? He didn't do it publicly. He went to him privately. And he said, you know, you can, basically, in essence, it was confusing. He was the king of the earthly king of the Jews. Herod was. And he was doing something that was confusing. So he said, hey, that's not right. King Herod ended up putting him in jail because his wife, who was not supposed to be his wife, wanted John the Baptist in jail. She was very disgruntled by what he was saying. And eventually, John's head got cut off. He was beheaded in prison. And Jesus' followers wanted to know, what's up with that? And that's why Jesus said, what did you expect to see when you saw John? Someone who just blows in the wind, just follows the safe route? No, John was willing to stand, take a stand. Like those 21 Egyptian Christians who were dragged out on the beach. Maybe you saw it. I saw it on the phone. I saw the video of what ISIS had put out there. And these guys who were going to have their necks severed in just a matter of minutes. You saw these men standing there. It sounds all heavy. Saying, this is FCA, man. This is life, man. We're talking about real deal stuff here. The stuff that's happening overseas right now with ISIS, that was happening in the 1st century, all across this planet, particularly in the Middle East region, where the apostles were living. Probably about 11 of them, of those original 12, were killed for their faith. And there's going to be more martyrdom as time goes on. So who are you? Are you one like those Egyptian Christians, like John the Baptist who's driving down the interstate, and you're told, get off the interstate, and if you do, you take the next exit ramp off of your faith, we'll preserve your life. What do? Do you get off the exit ramp and say, you know what, I need to live another day here? Change it, denounce your faith? You know, it's interesting. These people who come out to try to cut your head off because they want to challenge you as if you're the real deal, and they threaten you. Isn't it interesting that they don't just come and kill you? Why don't they just go and kill them? You know what they always do? They give them an option. They say, you know what? You can get out of this. You can preserve your life if you'll just denounce your faith. Hey, you know what? They're willing to take a lie. They're willing for you and I to say, yep, I denounce my faith, knowing that I'm not really denouncing my faith. I don't really believe it, but I'm going to tell them that, just to save my life. They're willing, those terrorists are willing to accept that. Because you know why? They want to silence the message. They're not just interested in killing the Christian. They're interested in silencing the message forever and intimidating you about what you believe. Now, that seems like an extreme example. John the Baptist, ISIS. But think about what happens on an everyday basis right here in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Think about these institutions that we go to. Whether it's Nebraska, whether it's Ohio State, whether it's the University of Maryland, whether it's the Naval Academy, where this constant noise, and it's not always done in the area of a major league threat to your life. It's done in a threat to the quality of your life. Back off of Jesus. High schools,